You're not in a plateau, you really just lack data. Over the past week, I've gotten so many inquiries regarding being stuck at the same weight. Women are saying they've been eating clean, they've been getting in more protein, they've been going to the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week, and the scale just hasn't moved. So they think that they're in a plateau. But when I dive deeper and ask very specific questions, the truth comes out that certain things are missing. They're guessing instead of tracking, and they don't have any concrete data to go off of. And that's why they feel like they're in a plateau. So this doesn't mean that you're not trying or that your plateau isn't real. It just means that you're missing the tools to figure out what changes need to be made. And now you're in this limbo where you don't really know what to do to break through that plateau, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact questions that you need to ask yourself and the specific things you need to track in order to break through your plateau and finally start seeing progress again. So the first thing is related to nutrition. A lot of people say I'm eating clean. I've been watching my portion sizes. I've been trying to get more protein in, and these are all excellent things to start with. But as your goals get more specific, eating clean is not enough. You need to know exactly how much you're eating. You can be eating clean or eating cleaner than you did in the past, but still be overeating. So you need to know exactly how much you're consuming. Are you getting in enough protein? Right? Protein is the biggest thing. Carbs and fats you can kind of play around with, but protein is the biggest thing, and you want to be tracking your protein intake because most women are not hitting the amount of protein that they need in order to see results. And the reason for this is because it's extremely hard to get enough protein in without preparation. In my experience, this is one of the biggest reasons women feel stuck at a certain weight because you actually need a lot more protein than you realize. And once you set a protein goal and you start to try to hit that on a daily basis, you're going to see how much protein you've been lacking. So nutrition is probably the biggest piece when it comes to breaking through a plateau. Next, moving on to workout stuff. So what exercises are you doing each day? What are you doing in the gym? If your goal is to build muscle or get stronger, you can't just go to the gym, do a workout you see online, or follow a plan that your favorite influencer posted. Because the thing about these things is it doesn't account for the non-negotiables that need to be in your training program if you want to see significant progress. You need to consider volume, so how many reps and sets you're getting across the week, across the month, intensity you need to consider, and you also need to consider exercise selection. The thing with following workouts that you see online is that may be a good workout by itself, but when it comes to seeing results, you have to consider what you're doing on a weekly basis. You can do one good workout and the rest of your workouts be completely shitty, right? So you have to consider other things that following the workout routines that you're seeing online just don't allow you to consider because it's not meant for you. It's just a workout in isolation. And a workout in isolation, sure, if you want to get your body moving, is great. But if you want a specific goal, you better pay attention to what you're doing. So you have to consider, are you doing enough sets across the week for the muscle groups you want to grow? So say you want to grow your glutes. How many sets a week are you doing that target your glutes specifically? And for those sets, are you lifting heavy enough? Are you training with the right intensity? There's specific training techniques and training variables that help you account for volume and intensity. When I ask people what their workout routine is, they usually say, "Oh, I'll go to the gym 4 times a week." Great. It's great that you're going to the gym 4 times a week, but what are you doing on those 4 days? Right? When I ask for specifics, what exercises are you doing? How many sets? What weights? They don't really know. And the lack of structure, the lack of awareness of what you're doing is a recipe for you to see no progress, right? You can go to the gym for 6 months and not really see much progress because you're not tracking anything and you can't measure what you don't track. And if you're not tracking anything, you can't see progress. So if your goal is to just move your body and go to the gym consistently, great. I am not talking to you. This page is not for you. But if you want a specific physique, if you want to see changes in specific lifts, just following random stuff is not going to cut it. So another thing that people do that keeps them in this plateau is they just use the scale to measure their progress. So the scale is cool. It's great to know how much you weigh, right? But it's a really bad tool to use in isolation, especially when you're trying to lose fat and build muscle. Because just think of the math. Say if you lose 1 pound of fat and you've been strength training and you gain 1 pound of muscle, the number on the scale is not going to change. Yes, I will get to comments after. The number on the scale is not going to change. If you lose 1 pound of fat and 1 pound of muscle, it cancels each other out. The number's not going to change. Then, if you lose 1 pound of fat and you gain 2 pounds of muscle, the number on the scale is going to go up, right? So then you're going to start to think that you're doing the wrong stuff, and you're probably going to change your routine and start to tweak things that don't need to be tweaked. And then that's what leads to you not seeing progress and staying in that plateau. So the scale is really not a good metric to use in isolation. I go into more detail on that exact topic in another video, and I'll put it in the comments. But because the scale isn't good to use by itself, what should you be tracking? So you should be tracking circumference measurements. So definitely your waist metric, you want to track that consistently. And then any other body part you're interested in, seeing improvement in is something you should track. My clients, I track biceps, calves, waist, bust measurement, glutes, really anything that we want to see progress in, we want to be tracking, right? Progress photos is another one. You want to take progress photos from different angles, so from the front, the side, the back, and you want to typically do that at the same time consistently. Try to keep the outfits the same so you can really see progress. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to how your clothes fit. Now, you may start fitting into your clothes looser, but not see a change in the scale. You may not see a change in your progress photos, but it is still representative of progress that the scale won't show you. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that. Step counts is another thing that you need to pay attention to, because you may notice that you have been less active. Yes, you may have been working out consistently, but you may have been less active throughout your day, which is also playing into a plateau. And increasing your step count can help to break that plateau. Then you also want to track your performance in the gym. So yes, we want to track your workouts, exactly what you're doing, but you want to track your intensity, your reps in reserve. So after you complete each set, how many more reps did you have in the tank before you ended? So if you do a set of 10, and by the time you get to 10 and you feel like you could do like 10 more, then that means that you need to increase your weight because you're not challenging yourself. A good rule of thumb is to aim to complete each set with a reps in reserve of only 1 to 3. So being able to do only 1, 2, or 3 more reps than what you accounted for, right? So if you go to failure, a rep in reserve would be 0. So you do a set of 10 and your rep in reserve is 0. That means you couldn't have done any more. You have no reps left in the tank. You want to aim from anywhere from 1 to 3 reps in reserve. That's how you know if you're training with the right intensity. And if you're tracking these things, you can see that your intensity is on the right track week by week. But if you're not tracking that, you're likely not pushing yourself as much as you should. You want to track how many sets you did, and then you also want to track your sleep. Not getting good sleep is going to play into your weight. So tracking your sleep, just being aware of how well you're sleeping, how many hours you're getting is really important. So these are all the things that you have to consider when you have a specific goal. Otherwise, you're going to always feel like you're in a plateau because you just lack data, right? If you don't know what you're doing at baseline, you're not going to know what you need to change. It's kind of like going through the semester in school, and by the time you get to finals week, you're like, oh my God, my grade is, it says that my grade is this, but then you don't know what you got on each test, and now you also don't know what you need to get on the final. So you need to pay attention to exactly what you're doing, because that's going to be the only way that you can actually make changes. So too many of us are going through the motions, just saying that we're trying to do things. We can't just try anymore. We have to actually be a little bit more cognizant, be a little bit more meticulous about what we're doing. So I know this may feel overwhelming to track all of these things, but this is exactly what I help my clients with inside my programs. So I literally take the guesswork out of everything for you so that all you have to do is show up consistently, execute consistently, and follow the plan made for you. So if you've been in the plateau and you need help breaking out of it, shoot me a message or email me at info@liftingforwomen.co, not .com, .co, and we can figure it out together. Now I'm going to go through these comments. So it's about the reps and sets, but you have to increase the weight correctly. Yes, increasing the weight is just one way to progress your workouts. If all we had to do was just throw more weight on the bar all the time, everybody would be lifting 1,000 pounds by now. So yes, increasing the weight correctly is one part of it, but you are going to get to a point where you're not able to add weight as quickly, right? As a beginner, you're going to throw weight on quickly because you have the beginner gains, but at a certain point, you are going to need to utilize other metrics of progressive overload. So increasing the reps, increasing the sets, changing tempos, doing different advanced training techniques is what you're going to have to get into once you get on that beginner phase. And that may be something that needs to change within your program, but a lot of times people end up majoring in the minors by focusing on the advanced things that I just mentioned when they aren't tracking protein, they aren't tracking what their workouts actually consist of, they aren't progressing themselves appropriately, they aren't tracking circumference measurement. So they don't really have an idea of where they are. So if you actually want to go through the process of seeing if you're checking all the boxes in order to break through a plateau, go through the questions that I just went through. And if there's anything that you're not tracking, start with tracking that for the next 4 to 6 weeks and then see where you are. A lot of times plateaus really are not plateaus, it's just lack of data. If you guys have any questions, drop them below and I'll answer them. Thank you for the set of exercises you gave me after knee surgery. Helped so much. You're so welcome. I'm glad your knee is doing good. All right. If you guys have questions, drop them below and I'll answer them later. Peace.